Market Mantra, Market Mantra, Market Mantra, Market Mantra, Market Mantra, Market Mantra.
Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Market Mantra, the program in which we give you a complete update on the economic, business and stock market news of the day. I'm V. Ravi Kumar and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi, Vishal Sharma.
नमस्कार, मार्केट मंत्र में आप सभी का स्वागत। प्रतिदिन की तरह आज भी हम आर्थिक, व्यापारिक और शेयर बाजार के ताजा समाचार आप तक लाएंगे और उन पर चर्चा भी करेंगे। चर्चा के लिए आज हमारे साथ ऑनलाइन आमंत्रित हैं बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड के एडिटोरियल डायरेक्टर श्री ए.के. भट्टाचार्य। भट्टाचार्य जी नमस्कार, मार्केट मंत्र में आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत।
नमस्कार, थैंक यू।
और सबसे पहले हेडलाइंस के साथ है वी रवि कुमार।
Snapping a 5 sessions winning run, equity benchmarks log marginal losses. Sensex closes at 37,872. Nifty settles at 11,133. Global equity indices decline amid US-China tensions and unease over more US stimulus support. And gold rises to hit new record high in the national capital.
घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में पिछले 5 सत्रों से जारी तेजी थमी। प्रमुख सूचकांकों में मामूली गिरावट दर्ज। सेंसेक्स 37,872 पर हुआ बंद। निफ्टी 11,133 पर थमा। अमेरिका चीन तनाव बढ़ने और अमेरिकी अर्थव्यवस्था को अधिक वित्तीय प्रोत्साहन को लेकर निवेशकों की चिंताओं के बीच वैश्विक शेयर सूचकांक गिरे और दिल्ली सराफा बाजार में सोना नई रिकॉर्ड ऊंचाई पर। और शुरुआत आज की पहली बड़ी खबर से ही कर लेते हैं। घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में पिछले 5 सत्रों से जारी तेजी आज थम गई। वैश्विक बाजारों से कमजोर संकेतों के बीच इन्फोसिस, हिंदुस्तान यूनिलीवर और एचडीएफसी बैंक के शेयरों में नुकसान के चलते सेंसेक्स 59 अंक लुढ़क गया। उतार चढ़ाव भरे कारोबारी सत्र में 599 अंक चढ़ने के बाद बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 59 अंक गिरकर 0.16% नीचे 37,872 पर बंद हुआ। नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी भी 30 अंक फिसलकर 0.27% के नुकसान के साथ 11,133 पर आ गया। विस्तारित बाजार की बात करें तो मिड कैप इंडेक्स में 0.19% की बढ़त देखी गई, जबकि स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्स 0.23% नुकसान में रहा।
Snapping its 5-session winning run, equity benchmark Sensex today dropped 59 points, dragged by losses in Infosys, HUL and HDFC Bank amid weak cues from global markets. After swinging 599 points in a volatile session, the 30-share BSE benchmark finished 59 points or 0.16% lower at 37,872. Similarly, the NSE Nifty slipped 30 points or 0.27% to close at 11,133. In the broader market at the BSE, the mid-cap added 0.19%, while the small cap lost 0.23%. HUL was the top loser in the Sensex pack, shedding around 3%, followed by Tata Steel, Infosys, Maruti, IndusInd Bank, L&T, Asian Paints and TCS. On the other hand, Axis Bank, Titan, Powergrid, ITC, NTPC and Reliance Industries were among the gainers. According to traders, besides stock-specific action, markets succumbed to profit booking at high levels. Weak cues from global markets also kept investors cautious. AKB, how would you see the market movement today? Is this par for the course, the volatility that we saw and the up and down, or do you see the broader trajectory, the secular trend to be upwards in the short term?
Well, I think I will borrow your phrase, this is par for the course. What you have to see is that the stock market has seen a very healthy rise since March. If you look at the lockdown time and now the stock market, the indices, the benchmark indices have actually made a recovery of close to 28%. What has happened today is probably a little bit of profit taking and some correction happening. And also the global developments particularly markets were not completely enthused by what has happened to the European Commission's plan for the stimulus there. And also there are different conflicting versions coming on the efficacy of the vaccines and at what point they can be released or be launched. So taken together, what is happening is the stock markets are taking a kind of a breather, and I continue to believe that the stock markets have already discounted the fact that a vaccine is going to come in the near future, maybe in November or December or January. So taking that into account, what we have seen in the last few weeks in particular, when the stock markets have risen quite sharply, now what they are expecting is that the earnings have not been to the market's liking, in the sense that there are many companies which have not done too well expectedly. So the markets are now banking on what will happen to the next quarter. So I do believe that the volatility that we have seen today will be a recurring feature in the coming days, the coming weeks, and the action would be really be stock specific, in a sense that you will see the good companies with promise, potential, probably doing better than those sector companies which are have taken a hit on the demand side because of the COVID-19. So that would be the assessment for the day, in my view.
So if you leave aside the almost 60-point fall today, it's generally been an upward trend on the Sensex. What do you think is driving the markets more? Is it liquidity, or is it hope, or is it some other factor?
Well, I think number one is definitely liquidity. And going forward in the coming days, I do believe that the liquidity push that the European Commission has given yesterday, and plus the US elections are going to be held in November. Till that time, you can expect some more rounds of liquidity push from the US, and so therefore a lot of money is flush in the market. Now the domestic investors are enthused by the fact that there is a lot of liquidity. So it is not the foreign investors who are spending and investing in the market which has kept it buoyant. It is the domestic investors which have kept the stock markets on this recovery track. So my sense is that when the liquidity flow dries up a bit, which may be expected after November, when the elections are over, so the need to provide more funds and all that will be politically not that expedient. So I would say till that time, the markets will continue to ride the liquidity platform. Plus, there will be individual stocks that you will see, which are some of the stocks are doing pretty well. The pharma stocks, the IT stocks, and of course the star attraction is the Reliance. So they are all, I mean, Reliance having reached 2000 is having become a completely debt-free company. Is itself enthused the market, and Reliance has got a substantial weight in the benchmark indices in India.
जी भट्टाचार्य जी, यहाँ से जानना चाहेंगी, जो मानसून जो इस बार अच्छा मानसून है, क्या उसका असर भी 2-3 महीने बाद शेयर बाजार में देखने को मिलेगा?
देखिए, जो मानसून का जो असर जो है वो मैं मानता हूँ कि इतनी जल्दी नहीं आएगा, मार्केट में देखने को मिलेगा, क्योंकि मानसून का इम्पैक्ट थोड़ा डिलेड होता है स्टॉक मार्केट में होता है, क्योंकि मानसून आने से जो आप अच्छी फसल आने से जो फार्मर्स के पास जो थोड़ा बहुत सरप्लस अर्निंग्स होती हैं, वो अर्निंग्स जब कंज्यूमर ड्यूरेबल्स या कंज्यूमर नॉन ड्यूरेबल मार्केट में जब प्रतिफलित होती हैं, तब हम देखेंगे कि मार्केट में थोड़ी बहुत उछाल, एग्रीकल्चर रिलेटेड उछाल आएगी। उससे पहले हम ये नहीं कह सकते हैं कि मानसून अच्छे होने से ये सेंटिमेंट अच्छा रहेगा, क्योंकि मानसून अच्छा है तो खरीफ की जो बुआई हुई है करीबन 25 से 30% ज्यादा हुई है, फर्टिलाइजर सेल ज्यादा हुए हैं, पेस्टिसाइड्स के सेल ज्यादा हुए हैं, और सारे एग्रीकल्चरल नियमों को काफी शिथिल कर दिया गया है। उससे एग्रीकल्चर में एक आशा की किरण दिख रही है, बम्पर क्रॉप होने की उम्मीद है, तो उसका एक इम्पैक्ट, ओवरऑल इम्पैक्ट सेंटिमेंट में तो होगा, पर अगर स्टॉक मार्केट में स्पेसिफिकली आप पूछें तो इसका इम्पैक्ट थोड़ी देर में आएगा, शायद फेस्टिवल सीजन में इसका इम्पैक्ट आप देख सकते हैं।
जी, AKB, you seem to be saying that look at stock specific movement, but if you broadly see sectors, do you see IT could be the next growth driver for the markets?
I would agree with you. IT would be a growth driver, and along with IT would be the pharma sector. Because from all available indications, given the fact that the government has pumped in a lot of money in different sectors by way of credit guarantees, the MSME sector, or even to the poorer people, so there will be some sort of spending that will take place, and so therefore IT sector, because the Indian economy and the Indian corporate sector is increasingly using its IT bandwidth for doing businesses. So while the brick economy, as they say, is not doing very well, the click economy is doing far better. So therefore, the IT sector will definitely gain from there. If you look at globally also, the IT companies have done far better than the brick and mortar companies. Similarly, I do feel that the pharma sector companies will also do better, because there is continued demand for pharmaceutical products. A little bit of FMCG will also have the rub-off effect. So if you look at some of the sectors that will benefit, these are IT, the pharmaceutical sector, the FMCG sector, and as the economy unlocks, most probably you would see other sectors getting a kind of a rub-off effect of good performance, better performance from these three sectors.
While we get kind of mixed cues all the time, and today there was this news that the president of Brazil contracted coronavirus and the court ordered him to wear a mask. So you get these weird stories from around the world. But if you broadly see various factors today, you will see that there is sustained lower crude prices, and you have cheap global capital, almost negative interest rates in many of the economies, and you have lower domestic interest rates in India, and you have bunching of latent demand. A lot of people call it revenge buying, that once the malls open, everybody will go back with a vengeance and buy. And you have global liquidity with all this quantitative easing. You mentioned the European Union, an unprecedented almost $1 trillion.
$858 billion.
Yeah, so that's almost $1 trillion kind of spending, that borrowing that they're planning to do for spending. So all these factors together probably are providing tailwinds. Do you see any major headwinds apart from the pandemic?
Well, I think in India, I think one headwind would be prices. I think inflation, the consumer prices have already reached the upper band, the ceiling of the monetary policy mandated inflation band, which is around close to 6%. Now that will certainly, when the RBI's Monetary Policy Committee sits early next month, you will see that they will be in two minds. While the market is expecting another round of interest rate cut, repo rate cut, but the Monetary Policy Committee members will certainly be worried about the inflation trajectory, and particularly at a time when the food prices, which have a substantial weight in the retail price index in India, with retail prices going up, inflation going up, can the RBI justify a rate cut, or will it give a pause? Now, if it gives a pause to the rate cut trajectory, my sense is that the markets will not take it very, very positively. So that's one clear headwind. And the second headwind that I think people should be prepared for is the pandemic may come back.
Second wave
with a vengeance, and that is exactly what happens if you look at all the trajectories of all pandemics. So when that second round, the second wave comes, whether the governments globally as well as in India have the wherewithal and the capacity to withstand that, and has the firepower to overcome that challenge, not having its impact being felt on the economy, will be the second headwind. And I think both these headwinds will be proposing challenges for policymakers both in North Block as well as in Mint Road.
और अब घरेलू शेयर बाजारों के बाद बात कर लेते हैं एशियाई बाजारों की। तो आज अधिकतर एशियाई बाजारों में गिरावट का रुख रहा, जबकि कुछ बाजार अपने पूर्व स्तर पर ही बने रहे। अमेरिका में अर्थव्यवस्था को और अधिक वित्तीय प्रोत्साहन देने संबंधी शर्तों पर अमेरिकी सांसदों के बीच सहमति न बनने के कारण निवेशकों ने सतर्कता बरती है। अमेरिका द्वारा चीन के ह्यूस्टन स्थित वाणिज्य दूतावास को बंद करने के लिए कहे जाने के बाद दोनों देशों के बीच तनाव गहरा गया है। हालांकि इस घटनाक्रम के बाद डॉलर में मजबूती देखी गई। कोरोना वायरस की वैक्सीन तैयार करने के काम में प्रगति और यूरोप में अर्थव्यवस्था को गति देने के लिए ऐतिहासिक प्रोत्साहन समझौते के बाद सुरक्षित निवेश के तौर पर डॉलर की तरफ रुझान कम होने से निवेशक अब बाजार की तरफ फिर से लौट रहे हैं। जापान के निकेई में आज 0.6% की गिरावट आई। सिंगापुर का स्ट्रेट्स टाइम्स 1.3% नीचे आ गया और हांगकांग का हैंग सेंग 2.3% लुढ़क गया। दक्षिण कोरिया का कोस्पी अपने पूर्व स्तर पर ही बना रहा, जबकि चीन का शंघाई कंपोजिट इंडेक्स 0.4% की बढ़त हासिल करने में कामयाब रहा। यूरोपीय बाजारों की बात करें तो अंतर्देशीय कारोबार में गिरावट यहां भी देखी गई। लंदन का फुट्सी 0.9% गिरा, फ्रांस का कैक 1.1% लुढ़का, जबकि जर्मनी के डेक्स में 0.4% की गिरावट रही।
AKB, you already talked about the giant step of the European Union of selling almost hundreds of billions of euros in common bonds for the first time. And this is, of course, part of the almost 2 trillion euro spending package to combat the recession, which is due to the pandemic. And this is largely being done to help countries like Italy, Spain, and some others. Talk to us about what would be the impact of this over the next 1 year. This is huge.
Yeah, I think, you have to keep in mind that when the last time, I do not exactly recall the actual the monetary easing of sorts, in a sense that more money was pumped into the system, was done, and the financial meltdown 2008 onwards. I don't recall it was anywhere near this amount. This is a huge amount, but it has come, it also underlines the enormity of the challenges. My sense is that the emerging economies which are doing better and which can handle the pandemic and its consequences on the economy better will stand to gain. I think what is also important is that if the emerging economies can take advantage of the US-China trade war, which has reached a new level altogether, and the sort of ostracization of China as a movement is gaining ground. I mean, you just saw how the UK has decided that it will not have Huawei as its partner, technology partner for its 5G spectrum. So if China gets cornered in that manner and its war with the US gets a little more intense, then I think there are many number of emerging economies which are likely to gain. And with the European debt that they are raising, and which will be obviously be used to help the many of the European countries. There are 27 members to overcome the financial challenges they face in the wake of the pandemic. I think the emerging economies stand to gain. You will also see the opportunities that probably will arise in terms of, because this money will be used also for undertaking projects, setting up new facilities, so which will be a kind of a business opportunity for many countries and the companies in many countries. So once again, I think I do believe that the emerging economies will probably can benefit more, provided the companies in these emerging economies are nimble-footed, and the governments in these emerging economies are prudent enough to manage the impact of the pandemic and unlock the economy in good time without posing any further risks to the people's health in those economies.
You mentioned the U.S. market as well. Let's look at the U.S. market. The S&P 500 and the Dow indices rose yesterday following a slate of positive earnings reports from companies including IBM and Coca-Cola, and on optimism over an eventual vaccine and fiscal stimulus to revive a pandemic-battered economy. On the other hand, the Nasdaq eased after hitting an intraday record high at the start of the session as shares of Amazon Inc. fell 1.7% following a near 8% jump a day earlier. Dow Jones gained 0.6%, the S&P 500 added 0.2%, while the Nasdaq Composite Index fell 0.8%. You mentioned this, AKB, already. The U.S., in fact, Vishal read that as part of his news as well.
Yeah.
U.S. ordered an abrupt closure of the Chinese consulate in Houston, and they accused China of extensive interference in domestic affairs and intellectual property threat. In fact, they call it massive illegal spying. So that's a major headwind for the entire world, the U.S.-China tension going further into a tizzy.
You know, I personally feel what is happening in the world right now is something very unusual. I mean, I don't think we have seen the confluence of so many problems, so many challenges coming together at around the same time. Even before the Brexit challenges is not fully overcome, in a sense that the last day of Brexit is going to be 31st December, and that the pains of the Brexit are still being felt both in UK as well as in Europe. And then you had the pandemic. The US-China trade war had preceded the pandemic. On the fourth element is the technology war that is happening on the 5G spectrum to Huawei, and the entire attempt by the US to tell Taiwanese semiconductor companies not to deal with China as far as they are getting designs from the US are concerned. Remember that the semiconductor or the nano chips, which are the key to the 5G revolution. They're the foundries of making these nano chips are in Taiwan. 50% of the world's chips are made in Taiwan, but the designs are provided by US mostly, in the Netherlands and in Japan. So what is happening right now is a confluence of so many issues and challenges, that you have Brexit, you have pandemic, you have US-China trade war, you have a technology sort of flare up on 5G, and Huawei being asked not to deal with businesses. Even UK has joined hands with the US to ward off Huawei. Germany, you still don't know. They might opt for Ericsson, which would be a setback to Huawei. So the entire 2025 goal of China to be the industrial power of the world, those are being challenged. So therefore, I do find that the stock markets are reflecting the nervousness of this unusual confluence of factors, developments that are going to play out in the remaining months of 2020.
Interesting you mentioned, AKB, 5G. 5G, when initially we used to talk about it, you said that it would have 100 times the speed of 4G, and there was this general feeling that 5G would probably unite the world like never before. And now what we're actually seeing is that 5G is probably dividing the world like never before.
You said it so well. You know, it is not just a question of dividing the world. It is a question of not allowing. The world seems to be at one in not allowing China to gain ascendancy in this critical 5G space, which will be the technology of the future. So I think that is the big fight that is going on, along with so many other global fights that are raging right now.
In fact, Reliance also mentioned that they would probably offer the 5G, indigenous 5G also to many other countries in the world, including India. Do you see that as a great opportunity?
ORAN, which is a radio access network, which is an open source ORAN. They are exploring that option also. So they will be, frankly, you know, Reliance has reinvented itself as a company. What you have seen in the last, pandemic seems to have devastated many companies. But if there is one company which has used the pandemic to further its prospects, it is this company. Not only it has become a debt-free company, it has raised 1.2 lakh crore of resources to launch itself on a new platform altogether, and then is going in for open source radio access network for 5G, which will not touch Huawei. So Huawei has lost a big client.
और अब आज के रुपए के प्रदर्शन पर नजर डाल लेते हैं। आज डॉलर के मुकाबले रुपया विदेशी मुद्रा बाजार में 74 रुपए 75 पैसे के स्तर पर रहा। अमेरिकी डॉलर में मजबूती और घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में नरमी के बीच रुपए में स्थिरता देखी गई।
If you look at the oil market, oil prices today fell as industry data showed a bigger than expected inventory build in the United States. Surge in coronavirus cases also dented fuel demand in the world's biggest oil consumer. In intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $43.70 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $41.20 per barrel. Quickly, AKB, broadly in the medium term, where do you see the crude prices? Around 45?
Well, I think the crude oil prices will remain moderate because the pandemic is not going to go away. It will continue to have an adverse impact on prices in terms of supplies will be more than what the demand will be. The U.S. will have to tackle with its own oversupply of oil. And finally, what we are going to see is that from India's point of view, lower and moderate oil prices would mean that India's trade will achieve an equilibrium of sorts, but at a lower level of economic activity. I mean, trade surplus is not necessarily a good idea, but trade surplus means some relief on the current on the external account. So that is what is going to play out.
और अब बात कर लेते हैं सोने में। आज तेजी की दिल्ली सराफा बाजार में आज सोने और चांदी दोनों में अच्छी खासी तेजी देखी गई। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मूल्यों में तेजी के असर से सोना 430 रुपए बढ़कर 50,920 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम की रिकॉर्ड ऊंचाई पर पहुंच गया। चांदी भी मांग में बढ़ोतरी के कारण 2,550 रुपए की मजबूती से 60,400 रुपए प्रति किलोग्राम के स्तर पर पहुंच गई। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजार में सोने का मूल्य $1,855 प्रति औंस और चांदी $21.80 प्रति औंस पर रही। एक भी बहुत संक्षेप में जानना चाहेंगे कि सोने और चांदी में जो तेजी देखी जा रही है, इसकी पीछे वजह क्या है और ये तेजी कहां तक आप उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि जाएगी सोने में खास तौर पर?
अब सोना और चांदी की बाजार में जो तेजी आ रही है, वो मैं समझता हूं कि जो स्टॉक मार्केट में थोड़ी बहुत जो एक अनिश्चयता का लहर चल रहा है, उसी का एक प्रतिफलन आप देख रहे हैं सोना और चांदी की भावों में। क्योंकि जब अर्थनैतिक अनिश्चयता इन्वेस्टर के सामने आती है, तब सोना और चांदी एक ऐसी वस्तु, एक मेटल ऐसे आकर दिखती है जहां पे इन्वेस्ट करने से उसकी जो इन्वेस्टमेंट में एक स्टेबिलिटी आने की उम्मीद दिखती है उन्हें। इसीलिए सोना और चांदी का भाव में आप इतना चढ़ाव देख रहे हैं।
जी भट्टाचार्य जी, कार्यक्रम में शामिल होने और हमारे श्रोताओं को बहुमूल्य जानकारी देने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू। Before we close, a reminder of the headlines: snapping up 5 sessions winning run, equity benchmarks log marginal losses. Sensex closes at 37,872, Nifty settles at 11,133. Global equity indices decline amid US-China tensions and unease over more US stimulus support. That's all we have in this edition of Market Mantra. Namaskar.
Market